Well, first of all, happy St. Patrick's Day. We may have intentionally picked today for this discussion and this information, and so we're very grateful to the members of the committee that are going to be announced in a very few minutes. We know that the biggest wins in our community have all come about because of collaboration and cooperation and working together, and this is another example of doing things together, both with the municipal, the federal, and the provincial government. And so, MP Weston, thank you very much, Rodney, to the federal government and to Minister Flaherty for the support for our city. We know we have the support of our two ministers in this great city, and this is the way we build great societies and great communities. And so, for those of you who already know some of the history of Partridge Island, none of this will be a surprise, but it's been a fixture in our inner harbor. The original light station was erected in 1791 and provided guidance for many of the ships that needed the safe haven of our harbor. For many who crossed the Atlantic Ocean in the 1800s, Partridge Island was a symbol of a new beginning. For some, it was the end of their journey, and there were thousands that ended up being buried on Partridge Island. It really is a place of sanctity and dignity in our community. Partridge Island is more than a piece of land in the middle of our inner harbor. It's about the people who worked there, lived there, and landed there. The hope of this project is that people from across North America, and in fact around the world, will come to St. John to connect with their past. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing in our community gets done without the tremendous volunteers of our community. We're seeing it right now with Skate Canada, and we saw it with Skate Canada, and we're seeing it right now with the World Curling that's happening. Literally an army of volunteers working together to pull off huge events for the betterment of this community. And as a representative of this community, I'm very grateful to the volunteers of our community. And this is another example of volunteers stepping forward and being willing to really dig in and dig deep for the betterment of our whole city. So I'd like to introduce the representatives, and most of them are here this morning, that are going to form a community consultation committee, a committee that will be tasked with consulting with stakeholders throughout the city and providing feedback to the three levels of government. The request is that by the end of October of this year, that we receive a report back on the vision for developing Partridge Island. Much of the vision for Partridge Island has been talked about, and there are many ideas, but we want to bring those ideas together into one report for the three levels of government to have that and to take that vision forward and implement it. The goal of these three levels of government, it's no secret, we want to see Partridge Island accessible to the public in a way that respects its historical significance, its dignity, and its sanctity. And so I'm very pleased and very grateful to the following individuals who are going to serve on this committee. The chairperson for the committee is going to be John McCann. John works with Port St. John. John, if you just raise your hand for those who don't know John McCann from Port St. John, who will act as the chair. Marika Block is no stranger to this community or the Irish community in St. John particularly. Marika served as a teacher and then as principal at St. John High for many decades. Marika Block, the representative of the Irish community on our committee. Those of you who are here also know the significance that Partridge Island played in the life of the Jewish community for St. John. And I'm very pleased to announce that Gary Davis has agreed to sit on the committee as a representative of the Jewish community. Thank you, sir. Probably no one has studied Partridge Island and maybe even all of the areas around our harbor more than Harold Wright. Harold Wright is going to be the representative on the committee from the historical community. He's being very quiet and unassuming right in the front row. Thank you very much, Harold. The information that you've collected on Partridge Island over the year and the vision that you've shared is going to be invaluable to this committee in doing its work and providing its final report. So thank you very much, sir. The federal government representative is going to be announced very shortly by my friend Rodney Weston. Stephen Alexander. Stephen is going to be representing the St. John Waterfront Development Partnership, Waterfront Development as we often call them, on the committee, particularly from the perspective of the importance of waterfront. Thank you, sir, for sitting on the committee as well. Very early on in my experience in this role, I was introduced to probably one of the most enthusiastic community supporters of Partridge Island I've ever had the privilege of meeting. He stopped me in the market and as he was working at one of the stalls and asked me to make sure I got behind the project. And Josh Thompson, you are just a tremendous ambassador for St. John and for Partridge Island. Josh is going to be our community representative at large on this committee. Thank you, Josh. Minister Holder has had an individual from his department agree to also sit on the committee. From the Department of Tourism, Heritage and Culture, Bill Hicks will be part of this committee. And it's my sincere pleasure to be able to say that Minister Shepherd, MP Weston, and myself, we're going to have the opportunity to sit as ex officio members of the committee. We're very grateful to all of the committee members. Thank you very much for agreeing to undertake this project. Thank you for being willing to give back to your community yet again. You've done so much already. We're incredibly grateful. Have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day, and make sure you get a pint of perhaps green moosehead before the day's out. Thank you all.